is that, quite honestly, the people in Nebraska do not and are not interested in having people from out of state harassing them at Walmart, Kmart, or wherever they are. And that's the one very thing that I think got people fired up, that we've got people coming in here from out of state. You're paying them. They have no idea about what is the issue of Nebraska. And the Nebraskans spoke about that. They made it very clear when they said to us, look, we're going to turn this over. We don't believe in that. But the reason was, the simple fact is, it was out-of-state people. It was millionaires putting money in to tell Nebraskans what to do. That's wrong. And I just don't understand why we want to come back and allow that to happen again. I know we can't do anything about the pay, but I don't think it's... I want to listen to next year someone from Montana or from New York that's being paid by a large lobby group that thinks we ought to bring our taxes down. That's a responsibility of the Nebraskans. And I'm here to tell you, when they think this tax is too high, it will be in the Constitution. And we were fortunate that we escaped that issue. This is wrong, people. I don't think it's the way to go, and we will get the Nebraskans fired up in the next summer or whenever we go through the petition drive again, because they object to that.
Thank you, Senator Langemeyer, members of the legislature. Great discussion. This is a great discussion. And while I'm hearing all of these ideas and beliefs that people have, it brought to my mind something that happened to my wife and I think it was about 2 or 3 years ago. We were at a Little League ball game. It was in Blair, and Senator Mines will know what I'm talking about. They've got a great complex there. There would be about 5 or 6 games going on at the same time. And I told my wife, I said, look at there, there's a petitioner. There wasn't one. There were probably 10 to 20 people, both men and women, circulating a petition. I can't exactly remember what the petition was about, but needless to say, I was approached by one of these people, and he handed me this board. He didn't say anything. He just looked at me. I said, "What do you want?" He pointed. He wanted my signature. Well, I said, "I need to know a little about what you're circulating here." He never answered, but he could see that I was not going to sign that petition, so he went on to the next person. Here we have there were probably a couple of hundred young kids running around playing ball. Parents were there trying to watch what was happening at the ball games. And these petitioners, they weren't rude. Don't get me wrong, they weren't rude, but they were circulating in amongst, and I'm sure they were being paid, as many of them that were there. And I asked him, I said, what's this about? He wouldn't answer me. So I believe that if you are going to be a petition circulator, and whether you're getting paid or not, but for heaven's sakes, you should know what in the world you're trying to impose on people. If you're too ashamed to say so, then don't do the circulating. This is one of the greatest things in this country, is the right to petition your government if you want something changed. But I believe, first of all, you should come to the elected officials and try to sell your idea to Senator Hudkins or Senator Persh. Come through this process. And if you can't, then go through the petition process. Take your idea before the people, but for heaven's sakes, you should know what you're talking about if you're carrying one of these boards around. And that disturbs me immensely. I believe as far as I can see, there is nothing wrong with Senator Shimmick's bill. Looking at the list of other states, that have the requirements, I see nothing wrong with that. I'm going to listen to the debate, but I just wanted you to know what is happening out there. And I think it's not in good taste to circulate in these areas, especially with young people around, although I know you have the right to do that. But I was a little upset that day, and there are things like this that does put a bad taste in your mouth for the petition process. Thank you.
About it, I thought the requirement that circulators should be electors sounded like a good idea. I still am going to have to be convinced, I guess, to support an amendment that excludes the requirement that they need to be electors. So I'll continue to listen to the debate, and we'll go from there. Thank you.
Very much, Mr. President. I really do appreciate Senator Shimmick bringing this bill forward and this discussion this morning. The petition process is truly a key element of our governmental process. It is our second house, has been stated so many times this morning, and we need to make sure that as a body we are protecting the integrity of that process, and I think that's where the frustrations are coming from the citizens, as they feel this integrity is being challenged. At this point in time, we want to engage our citizens in the process. We want to make sure that they feel like they have this as an opportunity to present their case and to be an active participant in the government. But I think recently we've done more enraging than we have engaging. I know this past summer I was approached on more than one occasion to sign the petition regarding 423. And I was very much offended by the way I was approached. I knew what the contents of the petition was, and I knew what it was going to involve. And when I asked questions to the circulator, I received no substantive answers. They were strictly there as an employee to get signatures. And as I said, I was very offended by the perceived compromise of the process. We do need to be very careful, as Senator Friend said, and Senator Erdman very much helped me understand the constitutionality of what we're discussing this morning. You know, I'm still not quite sure where I'm going to go as far as the amendment, but I am very much appreciating the discussion. The bills that Senator Avery will be bringing forward, I think it's all key in what we need to do in addressing this situation and making sure that the petition process is preserved and protected with its original intent for the citizens to use as their voice in our governmental process. I thank you, and I yield the rest of my time.
Has anybody in here ever carried a petition? Raise your hand. I have. Did I get paid? No. Was it about a Nebraska issue? Yes. And so if we truly are a two-body legislature with the petitioners, then shouldn't we be Nebraskans? Shouldn't we be from this state? Why should we have to depend on somebody else to tell us what to do? Whether it be constitutional or not, I'm not a constitutional lawyer like Mr. White over here, Senator White, but I truly believe it should be Nebraskans for Nebraskans that care for us. We got to take care of these people. And I feel very strongly on supporting Shimmick's bill without the amendment. And I yield the rest of my time to Senator Shimmick.
Senator Shimmick.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Senator Wallman. I appreciate that. And I wanted to get back into the debate here before it had gone too far down the road, and I do have my light on for later. But I wanted to say that I think Senator Friend and some of the others who have spoken here today, Senator Adams, I think you've raised some really good questions. I don't disagree that we have to be very careful what we're doing here today. And it may be even a finer line to walk than it is in other states because of the fact that we are a unicameral. I don't disagree with that at all, Senator Friend. But I think there's some misinformation being put out on the floor. Not that anybody here is circulating it, but it's coming from outside there. And Senator Fulton's statement regarding the prohibition on requiring you to be an elector. What the courts have said, what the U.S. Supreme Court has said, is that you can't require people to be registered voters. And at one time, Nebraska did require that, I believe. But we cannot do that, and we know that, and we weren't attempting to do that. What we were attempting to do in this bill is what some other states have done that are upheld by the courts, that have been upheld by the Eighth Circuit, of which Nebraska is a member. And one of those things that the Eighth Circuit has upheld regarding, I think it was North Dakota, was the idea of having a prohibition on pay per signature. The Eighth Circuit Court has upheld that. And it has also upheld the idea of requiring circulators to be residents of the state. Now, that's in North Dakota. So I think we have to be careful what we're saying. I had one senator ask me if maybe we shouldn't bracket this bill until tomorrow or the next day so that people could have a chance to look at some of these cases. And we could do that, but maybe we shouldn't. Maybe we should proceed here and put this bill over on select file and let people have the opportunity, particularly attorneys in here, read some of those cases. I can assure you that committee counsel did a thorough search of cases this summer when we were looking at crafting language. I can assure you that the assistant to the Secretary of State has also done that kind of research. And this isn't just my bill. This came after consultation with the Secretary of State. It came after public hearings, a public hearing that was held in which we heard from citizens that they didn't want their petition process to totally be overrun by outside interests. Now, again, I agree we have to be very careful how we do it. And there are no guarantees, there are absolutely no guarantees that what we do on this floor will pass constitutional muster. That is always true of any bill that we pass. So the question in my mind is, how can we make this petition process the best it can be for the people of Nebraska? That's who we should be concerned about. Not only those who want to circulate petitions, but those who would be possibly signing petitions.
We're talking about rich people and we're talking about poor people. Let's talk about the poor people a little bit who don't have the money to pay circulators. If they have things that they would like to bring by initiative or referendum, who are they going to get to circulate the petitions? Often it's young people. They may not be 18 years of age. Often they're civic groups in high schools and younger. They can be 16 or 17. They may not do the best job of explaining it, but we aren't getting the best job now from some of the people out of the state. And I think the best thing to do is to try and address this situation by requiring that circulators not be paid by the signature that they get, but saying that they can be paid and have that regulated somewhat by the commission. So in order to move this on, I say let's support this amendment and then take up the bill itself. And I will